Hey, it's Anthony Meisner with Land Title. I wanted to bring you your Denver Metro update for the month of March. Here's what's going on. We have an incredible increase in total number of sales compared to where we were a month ago. Now, does that mean that we are off of last year? Yeah, absolutely. We're down 12.5% from this time last year. We really just have a dynamic shift in the market here with the increase in interest rates and just the reduction in buyer demand. But that doesn't mean much because we have a pretty stable line for our active units on the marketplace. Now, this happens a lot in rising inventory markets in the spring because you have buyers that come to market before the sellers in a lot of cases. But in March, it was a really good sign. We're only down 12.5% from where we were a year ago, which I would have expected it to be more than that. Active units are only up 86%. Now, I say only because if we go over to active units, take a look at this. We were at the bottom of the barrel, right? Like the littlest amount of inventory that we've ever seen in this marketplace at 2,300 units. A balanced market has 20,000 or more units. Today we're at 4,000 units. We're finally getting to the point where maybe you can actually go out and shop for homes and look at a few things before you have to pull the trigger on the first home that meets your needs, right? So big shift from last year. Does that mean there's bidding wars? Sure, that's happening, but that happens in every spring market, right? We are no longer in this COVID market, right? We're in a back to some normal seasonality. We have a little bit of inventory so we can finally start to transact at a healthier pace, which is a good sign because it's going to slow down that appreciation rate. It's going to slow down inflation, and it's exactly what the Fed wants to do. Here's the craziest part. That month supply of inventory at 1.1 months of inventory is a super strong seller's market. It's barely double what it was last year. So we went from 2 weeks of inventory to 4 weeks of inventory. And that's finally enough for some of these marketplaces to actually start to have reasonable expectations from buyers, right? So not crazy bidding wars, but at least like enough inventory to go shopping for the weekend, right? If you want to look at a home, don't necessarily have to run out on a Tuesday because it's the only thing on the market. Now, here's the big thing is the speed of the market has changed dramatically too. Days in MLS were at 11 last year, right? Now we're at 35. That's active to under contract time on average. So the active to under contract time is steeply falling. It falls every year this time of year. It might get hit its low point around, June-ish, right? And then it's going to rise back up through the fall. So the speed of the market's going to speed up. That's a spring thing. That's a very normal spring market behavior. You're going to see this continue to get down maybe into around 20. It's hard to say where we kind of land, but then it's going to kind of steadily increase again in the fall as we have more inventory on the market. Now, the only thing that could really change that is if we have interest rates that continue to drop, right? Let's just say interest rates go from 6 or 6.5 like they are today to 5 in the fall. That's going to plateau the days in MLS because you have so many more buyers re-entering the marketplace. So we could easily have two things happen this year. How far did we overshoot this as far as our cost of money, right? And how fast is that going to come down? That might really have a lot of effect on what's going to happen in Qs 3 and 4. So take a look at this. There's a tale of two markets in this marketplace. We have the affordable price points, which are really being affected by the cost of money, reduction in sales, increase in active units of inventory, and then you have the upper end of the market. And the upper end of the market is finally really starting to slow down. Now, that part of the market is affected dramatically more than the lower end of the market. So people are changing what they're buying, right? People that were going to buy $1 million, $1.5 million home before are definitely not affording it at this point. So they're having to move their price point down. And so you see more competition in the lower end of the market. And what that means is, look at this, 400 to 499 had a 15% increase in number of sales than it did this time last year. So all that means is that there's more people buying at the lower end and not as much at the higher end. So these two pieces of the market, let's use 800,000 as our mark. Under 800,000, lots more sales, or at least not more sales, but lots more activity. Upper end of the market, that 800 plus is really having a slowdown that we felt compared to last year. So use this one with your buyers and sellers to help articulate these things. Now, if you go to month supply of inventory and days on market, you're seeing exactly the same thing. Over 1 million, lots more inventory starting to stack up. Over 3 million, it's finally at a buyer's market. Normally 3 million plus isn't a buyer's market all the time, but over the last few years, all that added demand has really shifted that. Now look at some of these lower price points. Look at 4 to 499, 0.7 months of inventory, just not enough inventory to transact. Things are moving really rapidly, 34 days database in MLS, right? Use that with your buyers and sellers to help them understand what's happening in their part of the market, because it could be dramatically different between 2 to 299, which I help somebody with today, versus 1 to 1.5 million, right? Big differences there in the market. All right, so this is our sold analysis. Total number of sales that take place, we're down 14% year over year, right? We have about 3,900 sales that took place last month, dramatically different than a year ago or versus 2 years ago, right? We may have an inventory shortage, but more than anything, we have less buyers active in the marketplace. Now, could this change, right? We're probably not going to trend up with where we were last year, the first half of the year, but we had one of the slowest fourth quarters we've had in a very long time. I would expect us to outperform the fourth quarter, where we are slow to start the year because of interest rates. If interest rates lower, it could really pick up speed there in the total number of sales. Look at this. This is average sold price, and I think this one is really important for you to have a conversation with people with, because when you look at the year-over-year numbers, it looks like prices went down from last year. Now, a lot of that could be that composition of sales, right? Anything over $1 million, we saw how much slower it was. There's just less transactions up there. That changes the average, right? So is it just the fact that homes have not really been depreciating like they show in the data. And if you look at the average sales price, it looks like over the course of the last year, people lost $50,000 in average sales price. It could just be that different homes are selling, right? And it's very possible, because of what we're seeing in the data, that that's the case. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that people that bought at the peak of the market last year aren't underwater just a little bit. That March, April, May time period, people may have overpaid for homes when they were paying 9% over asking price, and then we had the slowdown. But as a whole, most people that purchased in the last year have done pretty well. You can see year over year in places like Broomfield, prices are still up 10%. So there's still a lot going on in the marketplace. This is a pretty big in-depth number, but I think the big thing is it's never a bad time to buy real estate. You can see from the historical data back to 2012. If you bought in 2012 at 300,000 and now it's worth 700,000, you did pretty well. All right, so let's move over to this next one. Actually, let's skip this one because we already talked about it in a previous slide. But this is percentage sold price to list price, 99.8%, right? We're feeling a true spring market here, right? We're feeling people going out and having some bidding wars, but not too crazy, right? Nothing like what it was over the last couple of years. We're just seeing normal market behavior back to taking place. So that 99.8%, it's a strong increase from where we were in February, but it's nowhere near where we were previous years, right? 7% reduction in that listed sale price than we saw a year ago. So more rational, more reasonable, much easier to transact. So this is a really good sign for your buyers. They can actually get out in the spring market and compete, unlike it was a year ago, where you're not just throwing all the money you have at something, right? Inspections are back, that kind of stuff, because we're in a market that dictates that. And this percentage sold price to list price really lets us know that. The only other thing is that the attached market seems to have a little bit more competition than the detached market, largely due to if the cost of money is more expensive and you can't afford the house you want, you might move from detached to attached to try to save a little bit of money there on your purchase end. So that being said, the attached market is doing remarkably well, and it's definitely outpacing the detached market at this point. I'm Anthony at Land Title. If you have any other questions or want any sub-market data, reach out to me. I can always get you the local insights pretty much anywhere on the Front Range. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to catch you next time. Thank you.